Without further ado, though, this is an action-packed one. We got our main man, Jack McGuire, Barstool Sports' very own, at Jack Mack CFB. Follow him on Twitter. Make sure you guys hit him up. And if you know who he is and follow him, he does a lot of things on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. He's always a delight to follow. Make sure you head on over and check him out. Pound the like button. We need 500 of them for the show. Last Friday, we got like 700. I appreciate you guys. Jack.
What's going on?
What up, man?
How is everything?
Man, it's good, bro.
I'm happy to be here.
Where you at, man? The fucking porn studio or some crazy?
Yeah. My desolate studio here in New York City.
So you in New York?
Yeah.
Are you from there?
That's where the Barstool offices are.
Yeah. Are you from New York, though?
My family is. I'm from Connecticut, so, right down the street.
Okay. A lot of you guys, though, I noticed a lot of you, like you, Jeff, everyone I've talked to there, you guys are a lot of East Coast guys, huh?
Yeah. I mean, Barstool started in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
And then after that, it's a lot of Northeast. They're trying to expand. We were talking with Brennan Walker, you and I, on Unnecessary Roughness about 3 weeks ago, which is, by the way, Coach JB, I knew you'd bring the goods, but highest rated episode, I think, of all time for Unnecessary Roughness. So
really?
Thank you for that. And anybody who's watching right now, please go back and watch it, because everything we talked about there, it's not old. There's nothing, it hasn't ran out. So please go check that out. But then we started to get some more guys from down south. I think we even some West Coast guys as well. But you're right. A lot of the guys are East Coast guys.
Hey, I got to ask you, so you do this TikToks on celebrity gossip and all this shit, and I got females galore hitting me up like, oh, I love Jack Mack. So I got to ask you, what is the kissing ideology shit that you talk? What is it, the green light, blue light? What is it?
Green line.
All right, what the hell's the green light theory? I got to know this.
So it was actually created by a guy on Twitter. His name's Rivellino. Essentially, it just looks at relationship dynamics through a photo. And essentially, the best relationships are, if you're looking at it right, if this is my right hand or it looks like my left, but right, the one with this on is the guy, right? You want to be straight. And then if the girl's leaning into you with like her head or her body, she probably likes you. Even straight. If she's straight too, like this, they like you as well. But if she's leaning away or you're leaning into her, no good. It's not going to work out.
It's not going to work out because she or because of he?
Well, it's always, it's because of he, right? Because it's like, if you're leaning in, it's cuck behavior. It's, and then, it's basically the theory, not everything, it's not 100%, and also it's kind of a joke, but, the ladies don't really love a guy that's like too dependent on her, right? So if you lean it in like that, also, if you just think about it, you probably have never even thought about leaning into a girl with your head like that. Maybe once or twice in a random situation, but for most part, you're standing straight up and you're pulling her into you. So that's how we're looking at it.
See, I think you got the it factor. You either got it or you don't.
Exactly.
Have you ever been turned down? So let's just say, I don't know, what date do you go on where you're like, is it first date where you go for the kiss?
Oh, like just in general?
Yeah, just first date. You first date ever going out with this girl and you already had dinner, whatever the common thing you do on dates nowadays. And I
guess you just get the vibe, right?
I take him to fucking Taco Bell, bro, and throw him in my jacuzzi. I don't really go around all that other shit. No, I'm just fucking with you. No, your first date. You've been talking to her on the phone. You go to fucking eat afterwards. Is that a kiss day, number one, or do you calculate it?
I mean, I guess you just kind of take it as is. It's like you feel it out. Sometimes you'll go on a date and like it won't, you guys won't just connect. And then you're just kind of like, all right, whatever. Then you go home. Maybe you don't even take her to the jacuzzi at that point. But I don't have the Jason Brown money yet. So I don't have the jacuzzi. If I did have the jacuzzi, I would be getting a lot more kisses on the first date.
Hey,
So
you
I
got
gotta-
Barstool backing you, man. Come on, dog. You got to be able to take her to the rooftop of like the New York fucking penthouse.
Oh, the only thing is, we love Barstool. They back us. I love everything that Barstool's done for me. But, New York City, Barstool ain't, you got some big ballers around here, unfortunately.
Shit. Welcome to come to Cali too.
Exactly. Yep.
The two worst, man. Shit. I just watched your TikToks and I'm just like, dog, I'm laughing like a motherfucker on those shit. I gotta go Caleb Presley on you right now. So I love Caleb. I talk to Caleb all the time on.
Yeah, I mean Caleb's.
He'll FaceTime me out of nowhere. He's just sitting there with like 7 people, and I'm like, "What the fuck you doing?" It's like midnight. I gotta ask you this. What do you mean by free John Morant? What the fuck you talking about, free John Morant? I gotta know this one, man. I gotta give me your free John. Now I know some of the times you fucking around, but I noticed you said let's free John Morant. Enough is enough. What do you really mean?
I mean, all right. So maybe there's more to be known that the Grizzlies and the NBA know more than I do. Maybe that situation with the 17-year-old is bad enough. But I mean, for the most part, when I say free John Morant, I mean in 2005, this ain't a thing. Now, I will say free John Morant, but he's on probation heavy. Like if you mess up, then you're finished. Not finished, but like it's a serious crime. It's like, all right, you threw a few interceptions. Next game, I still believe in you, but if you keep throwing those interceptions, I'm sitting your ass on the bench. But John Morant, I mean, I don't know. It feels like there's a little bit of an overreaction.
Really?
At least from my perspective, it's just like, I think who he's hanging out with may be the biggest issue. I've heard that his crew causes a lot of issues. But for him, what has he done, right? He waved a gun on Instagram Live in a strip club.
That's not the first thing. That's the last thing, apparently.
Now, the 17-year-old finish line in situation. If it's more serious than just telling the kid to, stop playing around, then I understand. But maybe you can educate me more.
Well, this is the deal. Like, here's my take.
You've dealt with so many more athletes than I have.
Yeah, how many? So I'm a true believer, addition by subtraction. I just truly believe it's a real thing. You can there is such thing as addition by subtraction. I think there's nothing worse, Jack, in my opinion, there's nothing worse in this world. Nothing. I mean, we could talk about some bad shit. There's nothing worse than waste of talent.
Yep.
All right. Regardless of what your talent may be in, if you waste it, it's nothing worse. So I'm saying that addition by subtraction, because there's a waste of talent right now, even though how talented we know he is, he could be the next Jordan or whatever as far as icon in this generation, right? He could be the guy. I'm never going to say that and put him in the same words, but
I know what you're saying.
I'm never going to put him with Kobe, Jordan, LeBron. I'm not putting him with none of those guys. He's got a long way to go, and we're anointing him in the media already as this guy. And I'm like, hold on. This motherfucker can't get out his own way yet. But my point is, Jack, how many young kids right now, he has a much larger influence than a Jordan did in his era, or a Kobe, or a Bird, because of social media, because of these phones and TikTok and Instagram Live and all that shit. He has a bigger influence. He's only making it hard on not only the coach who got to coach these young cats coming up, but he's also making it hard on everyone in that roster, in that locker room, Because if he can get away with doing it, then so can number 14 on the end of the bench. And he can do even more things down the line. And it becomes this trickle-down effect, and shit just keeps stacking up. And it's like, dog, if you allow your best player to get away with murder, not figuratively, or not literally, but figuratively, maybe literally too nowadays. If you allow your best player to get away with that, who the fuck to tell Johnny, who plays 2 minutes a game, that he can't go out and rob McDonald's every night? He ain't going to get nothing happening to him.
Well,
and I'm be honest with you, Jack. I'm a big Bill Parcells guy. Bill Parcells said, if you cannot coach your best player, who's going to be your number one shitbird, by the way, that's just how it is. The better the player, the bigger the shitbird. If you can't get through to him, you have no shot. And guess what? When Bill Parcells took the Cowboy job, who was his number one shitbird? T.O. So T.O. was his number one shitbird, number one athlete. He had to get through to T.O., had to get T.O. to buy into him. So the rest of the team bought into the T.O. mentality that, okay, we can be an asshole to the whole team. If you're late, you got consequences. But every single player is treated differently. And every philosophy, every personality is different, dog. And you got to treat every single player differently. But your team, culture, motto, goals, consequences, rules, all have to be the same. And if you change it for certain players, you're going to lose your roster really quick. And I think Memphis is on that track right now. And it's a tall task for a coach who really in this business, a lot of guys like this coach, but he's yet to win anything. Really, nobody knows who he is still, right? You're like, who? Oh, the white guy at Memphis. Like, who is he? On a large scale of things. He's not Thibodeau. He's not, any of these big name coaches that you see out here. So he's a guy that's having to handle a guy who's very, very highly regarded in a lot of ways, not only playing wise, but on social media, his influence. Now you got to manage this dude and his fucking weirdo fucking fanboy dad.
Yeah, and his crew, at least from what I've heard.
Okay, and not to cut you off, before I wanted to answer your question. This is the thing. The crew should not exist. You are your crew because you are the breadwinner. You're the moneymaker. So I'm confused as to how he allows this crew to be out here talking shit. Like, you just mentioned this crew's fucked up. And I'm like, hold on. There's no crew fucked up. In my world, my crew's going to do what the fuck I say to do or not be around. I don't understand. That's just follower mentality. And that's further proving to me that this dude wants to be something he's not so bad. He watched too many Juices, too many Boys in the Hoods, too many Menace to Societies on these fucking plane rides, dog.
Yeah, no. I mean, I don't know who his crew is, but I think it's like, that story that we heard. He pulled up 9 dudes deep because somebody at finish line disrespected his mom, even though the 17-year-old probably didn't even know it was John Morant's mom, I mean, we've all been in a finish line or a mall when a 17-year-old who's fucking an asshole is working at a job, and then you're like, all right, I mean, he's getting paid $8 an hour. Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, yell at him? Now, the role model thing, for me, I see what you're saying, and there's responsibility, but does that mean he shouldn't be able to play basketball?
How is he more influential as a basketball player or as a TikToker? Like, that's what you got to ask yourself. He's a nobody without basketball. Nobody gives a shit about him.
Yes, you're correct.
So the following comes from what he does on the court. He makes his big bag on the court, and then everything else that comes with it, ad sponsors and sponsors, which Coca-Cola just took away one, right? He's going to lose them little by little. He just lost Coca-Cola. It's a pretty big one, I'm pretty sure. He's headed down the Antonio Brown street of fucking dumbness. I'm just telling you, that's kind of what it is. And he's 23. Here's my question, Jack. Here's my more important question as just some common sense narrative. Why isn't, and now I don't know that this hasn't happened, and I don't think it needs to be public. I don't think it would be a smart move or needed for LeBron James to go on Twitter and say, "What are you doing, Ja?" Or I I don't think that needs to happen. But what I am curious about is LeBron James picking up the phone and calling this motherfucker and saying, hey, dog, you're the future of this league. I'm leaving soon. You're the next guy. You can't do this shit because the Anthony Edwardses of the world in Minnesota and all these other guys are now going to be the next guy after you, and they're looking at you too. And so not only do you have NBA peers looking at you, you have everyone in college, everyone in high school. AAU math is a huge thing. And so you got all these young kids. I just hope the big platform people, the big guys, the LeBrons and the Jordans and the Shaqs and the Barkleys are hitting them up and are like, dog, you do realize you're a fucking idiot, right? And we know your truth. We know your truth. And you're not a gangster. You're not. So
I would assume those guys have, but then also, I mean, like, I wouldn't be surprised if, LeBron hits him up and then Ja kind of maybe Ja doesn't respond. And then LeBron asks around and everyone just tells him, hey, he's just a lost soul right now. There's not much you can do. And then, I mean, LeBron, he has his own team. He's injured. He has fucking kids, like he's probably like, I don't have enough time for Ja Morant. And not to be disrespectful towards him, but just be like, hey, I tried. And then I'm here if he needs me. But you're right. It's just
that's Jack. That's where I have an issue right now with this generation. Like, to be honest, this is the reason why I say it. Like, there is no more respect for the forefathers who have allowed you to make generational wealth, not only for yourself, but your grandkids' lives are set. And the people that set this for you, the Jordans, the Birds, the McHales, the Dr. J's, go back to Wilt Chamberlain. These guys set this for you, made not even 1% of your money. Yep. They didn't even make 1% of the dollars you're making right now. And that is where back in the day, just 20 years ago at least, not even that long ago, if you look at it, we would have been like, man, fuck, dog. Without you, we're nothing. We're going to make sure we spread this wealth, not financially, monetary speaking, but through our tongue. Like, we're going to make sure we're doing this like how you taught us, because we're making more money than we ever could imagine because of how you set this, like how you broke this down for us. And they're not doing that no more. I get it. You have kids. I get it. You got all these things, but you owe the game that's paying you hundreds of millions of dollars. In my opinion, that's just my mentality. These cats don't care no more. They don't owe. They think they don't owe shit. If they really owed the game, Jack, Kawhi Leonard wouldn't load manage fucking 90% of the season, and neither would any of these other dudes that you pay your hard-earned money to go take your kids to see, and they're not even playing. And if they really respected the game and what's really gave them generational wealth, they would play as much as often as possible.
Yes. And what I would say to that is two things. One, I think that goes to show when we look at a Ja Morant, I think we should also look at, you bring up LeBron. And LeBron, I mean, now he's in what? He's in year 20. And this is a guy, and I'll be honest, I mean, talk about a guy that came up from nothing, with a single mom, Akron, Ohio, not the best place in the world, not the worst place. And, he was anointed the next guy at 15, 16, and then turned out to be the next guy. Obviously, there's been ups and downs. Maybe you can argue he should have won more championships. The X, Y, and Z. That's fine. But he hasn't really done, I mean, I take some, he says some things that I'm just like, all right, LeBron, like, what are you talking about? But for the most part, he's been, and he pays respect to the older guys. He's been, and he gets a lot of shit, but he's somebody who's since day one really bought into the game of basketball. I know you could talk about the load management stuff, but I would say to that, would we still be seeing LeBron play right now if he played every game?
But that's not, to me, see, so I've heard Anthony Edwards came out as a younger guy, has come out and been like, man, we owe the game to play. We owe the fans to play. Have you heard him say that?
Yeah, no, I like Anthony.
All right. So he came out and said it. I was like, oh, all right, youngster. That's nice to hear from a younger cat. And then Draymond Green comes out, being Draymond Green, and he's like, all right, I like that Anthony spoke out, but let me tell you something, youngster. Like, he's talking shit on his podcast about it. And he's like, no offense to you, Anthony Edwards, but you haven't made back-to-back deep playoff runs like I have and won multiple championships. And I'm not saying that because I'm cocky. I'm saying that because the half of another season that we play every season because of all the playoff games that we go into, right? All right, I get that too. But, dog, that is the job that it comes with. Like, you should play those games to make $150 million. Like, Charles Barkley broke it down the best. He's like, come on, man. You play 4 days a week. You fly private. You have the best people to cover your body. We didn't have this shit. We drove commercial or on a Greyhound. We flew commercial or on a Greyhound. And he's like, this is what you should do. You should be playing 82 games plus all the playoff games you can play. And guess what? In the offseason, this is what you should do. But see, these cats aren't doing that. They're in Bali, chilling, and then taking some months off instead of back in the day. Not only did they go through 82 games and the playoffs, when the Lakers, Celtics, and all these teams won, they were back in the gym a week later. Because the season is so fast, Jack. It's like you're playing in Halloween night season, the new season, and your season just ended in late July. Like, that's not a lot of time off, and the NBA is the longest season. So, I mean, I don't know, man. There's a reason the NBA ratings are faltering. The XFL ratings are fucking higher. They had 38,000 show up last night to the St. Louis XFL game, which I thought is pretty cool. The Rock's product is selling.
Yeah, no, I mean,
it's just old school mentality versus the young. I guess there's just two ways of.
I think there's an in between, right? I don't know who's right. I see what you're saying, and I don't disagree. But I also think, if the NBA thinks about their product, and nobody has more stars than the NBA, that has more to do with the fact that guys play longer, and then also, their faces out there. For the most part, I mean, there's the Patrick Mahomes, the Aaron Rodgers, and whatnot. But Julio Jones is one of the best wide receivers ever. I think Julio Jones could walk down the street in New York City. He's 6'4", but not that many people would know who he is.
Wait, time out though. You know why that is? I used to do a study on this. I used to teach this actually. You know why that is, right?
Why?
All right, let me ask you this before I even answer that. Why is Major League Baseball A, basketball B, and NFL C? And I can argue soccer is actually C, NFL is
because of the helmet.
Because of a helmet.
Yeah.
So I can ask you right now, to be honest, I could probably ask you, do you know who Will Shields is?
Will Shields?
Yeah.
Is he the kicker?
No, he's one of the best offensive linemen ever. Played for the Chiefs.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, I don't.
All right, that's not. I wasn't saying that to make a point, but all right, let me ask you this: if Brock Purdy was walking down the fucking New York City street,
no one would know him.
Okay, and exactly, this is for every offensive lineman and defensive lineman in the NFL. Probably the history of the NFL. Walking down a New York street, you wouldn't know who they are.
But that's also, I would also argue,
that is why we don't make as much money, though, Jack. We don't get the same marketing, the same opportunities in the NFL for commercial ads, for ad sponsors. We don't get anywhere near, other than an Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Mahomes, maybe a Josh Allen, maybe a couple receivers. How many NFL guys are on big-time commercials other than Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers? How many guys really have a commercial? Baker Mayfield, a quarterback. Let's take away quarterbacks. How many guys do you ever see fucking Warren Sapp doing a State Farm commercial?
No, you'd have to. The NFL players, think about it. Shannon Sharpe is about 100 times more recognizable now because he's on FS1 and kind of big on social media than he was when he was at Hall of Fame tight end,
That's what I'm saying. A helmet fucks us, and that's why we're not as paid as much either.
the crazy thing is, much more people watch Shannon Sharpe play football than they watch him on FS1. Not because his show's bad, but it's just because, 10 to 15 million, 20 million people watch the NFL every fucking weekend. Even more than that. But I mean, like, if you, on average, and he was one of the best ever. So it's crazy. But to circle back to everything we've been talking about, the Grizzlies disrespecting the older guys. I mean, Dylan Brooks said that Shannon Sharpe was a blogger. That's one of the most disrespectful things I've ever heard in my fucking life.
Goes back to these cats having no regard for their sport, bro. I'm just telling you, like, it goes back to the blatant disrespect. Like, we always used to talk shit because of a competitive balance, right? We used to love to talk.
Yeah.
And Jack, to be honest, we got into straight up barbershop banter, fucking escapades in a barbershop talking shit, like where we're getting after talking about your mama and everything else.
Yeah.
And boys, we may be boys. That doesn't happen anymore like it used to happen. Like nowadays, everything is I'm going to pull the strap out. Like, That's the era John Morant grew up in. There is no more just talking shit because it's true and we're having a friendly, opinionated debate, and we get loud and we start talking shit. There is no more of that because these soft fucks are now just, I got to pull a gun out. Like,
also, you can kind of hear it in the music too a little bit. When Jay-Z and whatnot, he was talking about some shit, but he wasn't talking about pulling up and there's these down in Florida and even Memphis, there's these rapper gangs and they're like 17 years old and they have RICO cases on them. Yeah. It's like, well, what? I mean, I guess that it's kind of like LA or West Coast versus East Coast, but it's a little bit not even that because it's not like, that's the biggest shit going on. It's like these guys I've never heard of. I watch a YouTube video. It's like this 18-year-old has a RICO case on him. 18 years old.
Bro, they try so hard to be something they're not. They literally will
they'll shoot up their grandma's houses. It's like, what?
Dog, it's all about tweaks, retweets, and likes. That's the era we live in, bro. I'm just telling you right now, they don't give a fuck. There is no value. These kids don't value the dollar. They don't value your life, and they don't even value their own life. There's no value for anything anymore. Like,
I saw a rapper Crew or whatnot pull up on his op's grandma house the other day. What? Why? It's like, what are you guys doing?
All right, let that set in, Jack. Let that sink in. Where we used to protect our grandma's house, now these fucks are shooting up their grandma's house.
Yeah, it's like, what?
All right, before you get out of here, man, let me ask you, college March Madness is in. I got to get you back on soon to talk more about it. I got Jeff
for sure.
Thursday. March Madness is here. Who are you picking to win it all?
I'm riding with UConn.
Really? UConn?
Yes. I grew up in Connecticut, in a state where there was no professional sports. UConn was everything. UConn football, UConn basketball. I know UConn football. That's my first love, my first true love. And I understand everybody can talk their shit about UConn football. Kind of turn it around, but I love UConn basketball, and I think we got a good team this year. And I've been watching them all year. I was at MSG this weekend, or it was during the week, to watch them play in the Big East tournament. I like the squad. Hopefully they go on a run. If not, I mean, it's crazy to say Alabama's pretty good. It doesn't feel real, but they're pretty good.
That's a whole show in itself, right?
I know.
Fucking team. I gotta rock with UCLA, my West Coast team. I gotta roll with the team I grew up idolizing, John Wooden. I think they've played together 3 years. A lot of these guys on this team. They lost they should have never lost to Arizona the other day, but they could have been a 1 seed if they won that game, I thought. I think they would have knocked out. They probably would have knocked out Kansas out of the 1 because they had 7 losses from what everyone said, even though Kansas had the hardest schedule. People are still thinking Kansas got fucked, even though they got a 1 seed. They got a bad geographical location, apparently.
Let them play. Just let 'em
I
play.
know. I like UCLA with their veterans.
Yep.
I'm gonna roll with them. That's just me. But all right.
Yeah, I mean, UConn, UCLA could be a pretty big Elite Eight matchup. If that happens, I'll have to come on before that show.
Yeah, we got to do it. College football, though, who do you see Carolina taking one?
You know, I heard you and Zach talking Will Richardson before. Or Anthony, sorry. Will Richardson is a completely different person. I think it's just going to be Bryce. But I wouldn't be shocked. They even said they would end up trading it, which would be hilarious. I wouldn't be shocked. Anthony Richardson is like this weird Mandela effect where people are telling me his career was something happened that it didn't actually happen. And I was like, wait, what games was I watching? Don't get me wrong, the guy has talent, but number one overall, and I wouldn't be shocked if a team falls in love with him.
Hey, Jack, if a quarterback broad jumps 10-6 to win a game in the Super Bowl, I'm all in. When he broad jumps and fucking jumps 40 inches over a guy, I'm all in. Let's make him the best quarterback of all time. But until then, dude, I'm not going to go with it. As you leave here, I appreciate you coming on. Aaron Rodgers ends up being a who?
New York Jet, but I'm getting nervous. I'm a Jets, so I'm a longtime Jets, Mets, Jets, Mets, UConn tortured fan.
You're muted, Matt. Nobody can even hear you.
Yeah.
Hey, are you muted on your end or me? You're muted. I can't hear you. Matt's muted. Matt hates technology. We can't hear Matt. Anytime Matt gets on the phone, he can't. His phone never works. Matt played for the Jets, Jack, for a long time.
Yeah, no. I follow him on TikTok. I know who he is. He's
hell yeah. And
then
he loves you, Barstool guys. That's what I'm saying. If Eric ever pulls